What another beautiful day for sweeping. Thankfully, no pesky spiders this time. Gosh dang, that one's the size of a dinner plate. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Recap Review. Today we're looking over set number 8764, Vezon and Fenrak. With an approximate part count of 281 and a time of release, ran for approximately $30. A little bit of story information. The rider up top here is Vaison, the half-Paraka that was split apart using the Staff of Fusion from Vezok, making them half-brothers, or halves. He ran off, took the Spear of Fusion that he now wields, went and found the Mask of Life, and after getting it glued to the back of his head, he was then glued to the back of a spider. A very large spider. That brings us to Fenrak, a normally very tiny species, or medium size? I don't know, they're still big, but not this big. It was enlarged by the Mask of Life in order to serve as a guardian. With that out of the way, let's get into the pros and cons of this set. I'd like to preface this, as with every review, these opinions are not all personally held by me. They are opinions that I've heard over the years and objective viewpoints that I have either discerned or heard over many years about this set and others. With that out of the way, let's get right into it. The pros. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go through these separately. So we're going to unhook Vaison here. Unhook his feet, and there we go. Oop. I took a spike with him. Okay, let's get it out of the way. So this is Vaison. I'm already getting him confused. Pros would definitely be the standard amount of articulation that we have seen here. We have 2 in his ankles, 2 in his knees, hips, and then 3 in the arms, as well as 1 in the head. Another pro would be his consistent color scheme, being black, silver, and if you're counting his spear, a little bit of gray, and what seems to be the Hershey brown, or at least Avox brown, a reddish brown. I know you guys know what that is. Let me know in the comments. Another pro of Vaison would be the fact he has a cape. Now this cape is very tattered, and we don't often see cloth in Bionicles, so this is very unique. It brings out a very tattered look, battle-worn. It's very unique, very interesting to see. Another pro would be his function. Now, Vaison has about 2 functions. One, in the back of his head, as per standard for all the Paraka, or Skakti, or half Skakti, whichever you prefer. He has light up eyes. You press a button. Don't know how well you can see that. There we go. The eyes will light up. Now, the second function he has is a dual face. Right here you see his Paraka face. But if you turn his head around, you have our first in-plastic incarnation of the Kanohi Ignika, the mask that started off yet another trilogy. AKA the Mask of Life, you know. I can't tell you how many times I have seen people cut this out. Obviously, I have not done that. It is a permanent fixture of this. Turn around, we're back to the Paraka. Now the pro, he is compatible with his spider, Fenrak. Obviously, having a 2-parter set is always very nice, considering it ups the playability exponentially. So considering Vaison is already really great as far as articulation and color scheme goes, it's an added bonus. Some may consider another pro to be the Spear of Fusion. We do get one-off unique piece right here. This is a set exclusive recolor, to my knowledge, I may be wrong, the aforementioned reddish brown Ignika shoulder. The staff also looks very menacing, not something I'd figure Fusion to be associated with, but it works. He has the spear, and he also has a chain. So as far as that's concerned, that's his basic pros. He's very well armored, his color scheme is exponentially distributed, very even, and very solid. He also has some really nice functions, a really unique cape, and an excellent weapon to boot. So with all the pros for Vaison out of the way, let's get to his cons real quick. Some cons that some may consider would be the basicness, quote-unquote, of the Paraka build, considering the torso is comprised primarily of two main pieces, not counting the little pins. Granted, Vaison has a little bit of a customization going on right here, with the Toametru shoulder pads in silver, and the Anika shoulder armor also in silver. So as we can see here, it's a little bit different. Another con some people may have is his kind of pudginess. It's a little uneven looking. His profile is kind of strange. Another con some may have, he's not a very vibrant set. So it's black and silver, and while it is a very solid and very consistent color scheme, he is not the most vibrant or eye-catching of characters. Another con some people may have would be his proportions. He has incredibly long arms that reach below his knees, and it does look kind of funky looking. People may also have issue with his cape, considering it is a cloth. It's also one of a kind, so if you lose it, that's not a good thing. Another con would definitely have to be the blue pin. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. Some people are going to say it's a nitpick, but this is annoying looking. Now, you could give it a little bit of slack. It could be like a handle, like a customized dog collar, a dog leash. But it does break the color scheme along with this and the red eyes. But that is what some people would believe to be another con. Definite con right back here would be the axle for the Kanohi Ignika. You see, the great thing about this is that it's not only compatible with the Paraka skull, it's also compatible with Toametru heads because of the axle. Unfortunately, because of the axle's placement, it is significantly harder to get in there and turn on the lights in most instances. There we go. So those and there we go. I would believe those to be the basic cons of this set. However, if I've missed any, please let me know. So, with Vaison out of the way, let's get to his pet, Fenrak. Fenrak is obviously a lot larger, and currently missing a piece. Much better. Now, let's start off with the pros for Fenrak. Fenrak obviously features a lot of excellent articulation, specifically in his legs. He has a piston system which allows his arms to outstretch and fold back in. The piston system is not featured in the back legs, but they do show some form of articulation, which allows them to move up and down and side to side a little bit more limitedly. The build is also pretty stable, so that's another pro. Another pro would definitely be his color scheme, which is quite consistent and solid, featuring Metru red, gunmetal, a little bit of silver, and black. Another pro would be his functions. Aside from articulation, he has an opposable jaw, which will open up, showing his nice pearly whites and a little bit of red in the tongue, which is a very nice touch, and allow him to close them. Snap shut. Now the pro would definitely be his size, allowing him to be ridden by his owner. And I mean the Kanohi Mask of Life, not Vaison. He never got to really control this spider, I don't think. So with that pretty much out of the way, while I don't have a lot to say about Fenrak, all the pros are pretty solid, pretty simple stuff, all really solid. It's a fine addition to the set. But time to go over the cons, and the cons are a little bit more copious. Let's get a couple of what most would refer to as nitpicks out of the way. He has open axles, open pins, absolutely everywhere. This is bewildering. Not counting the ones on the top, considering those go for Vaison so he can ride the spider. I'm talking about the ones in his jaws, on his feet, right here, just all over the place. It's really absurd. Right back here, there's no reason for them. Another con some may find would be his gappy build. It's incredibly open, and not armored underneath whatsoever. Another con some may have would be the red and blue pins. Now the red pins on the jaw don't really matter, considering you could kind of count them as gums, especially seeing as there's red on the inside of the mouth to count as kind of like a tongue and whatnot. So those are not a really big issue. However, on the legs and the blue pin right up here, that may be a little bit more eye-searing and not as pleasant to be looking at. Another con, now I'm not really sure if this is specific to this set, but these fall out really easily. Granted, that may be a case-by-case basis. Another con some may have would be the fact he doesn't really look like a spider. As everyone knows, spiders normally have 8 legs. This guy only has 4. If you want to stretch it, he's kind of like a dog with swords for hands. I mean, that's kind of cool, but whatever. Another con some may have would be he has a very stiff body. It has no articulation in the torso whatsoever, which makes the gappiness even more glaring. His head is also fairly gappy, not being really armored up here. The jaw you can kind of get away with, but it's still an obvious issue. And then the back legs. The back legs are harder to move. They do move, but on a very almost fixed axis most of the time. It's a lot more of an issue and a lot more difficult to get them to move than it is the upper front legs, which are significantly larger. Another con some may have would be the piston system here, which may limit articulation. So all in all, that's all I can really think of for the moment. If there's anything I've missed for Fenrak, please let me know in the comments below. So as it stands, Fenrak is a very peculiar set. He's large with an impressive look to him, but the build is unfortunately riddled with gaps and an almost unfinished look, considering he has a lot of open pins and open axles, which is extraordinarily unusual for a set of this size. The back legs are actually a lot smaller than the front legs, which is really peculiar and kind of awkward looking. He trails off near the back exponentially and very rarely looks like a spider. I mean, we are using our imagination here, but it's a stretch at best. So how do they look together? Well, after clipping Vaison to the appropriate places, and then taking his chain, putting them down here, they look really formidable. It's a really cool sight to see the two of them actually standing in the same area. It has a very formidable look and a very solid look. The two complement each other very nicely. Now, I'm sure some may have issue with Vaison's extra weight bringing the spider down, but that's also seemingly a case-by-case basis. Now, the pros to this is it gives a lot more playability, and it has a really great look to it. The cons would definitely be the chain. It's not as long as it could be, and it restricts head movement or arm movement for Vaison. Now, considering his leg placement, depending on how you place them, he could have trouble looking around, considering his head articulation is a little bit awkward due to the head mold. But overall, how does this set stack up? It's definitely not the best Titan, however it has a really great look. It's definitely a formidable boss for any Toa, Paraka, or Matoran to go up against. Is it necessarily the best Titan of 2006? Probably not, but it is very formidable and would definitely look great in any collection, featuring a solid color scheme, great, excellent set, very solid right up here, and a formidable looking spider, despite the fact the spider is riddled with holes, gaps, and an uneasy looking build, and the rider may look plain to some. But all in all, would I recommend you get this set if you get a chance? Definitely. It is a lot of fun, and it looks great. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and is there anything that I may have missed or you feel I should have mentioned, please let me know either in the comments or on the TTV message boards. Thank you all for watching, and join me next week when I go over another technicality. Vaison and Cardaz. Thank you all very much for watching. See you all next week.